Hello, Mackie is here, and we welcome each and every one of you to part two of the mid-season madness player coach rankings. If you missed part one, I'll put part one in the description below. But the simplest way to put it for part one, going into part two, I spin wheel, wheel pick team, I pick players from the team, rank players from the team, and coach. Done. That's pretty much simple. So without any ramblings and all kinds of stuff, like, subscribe, comment, do all your stuff, and we spin. See, flying oyster. Let's just see what we have in store. So, in case you haven't noticed, this is a CTBC flying oyster lineup. Rest, although you can just say that they're gonna have like two top laners in the squad. Hung Q is gonna be in there. Another two mid laners in the squad. But let's just say all of this goes. These are the players on the team. I believe Rest. We don't know what Rest is. let's be yes, and I don't watch like LCP that one. But let's just assume. I think Rest is okay. I think the rest has been a fine, decent player for CTBC. Now, if I can go to the stats here, and let me just use the stats like gold.com to showcase how good he is. He's probably like a decent player, like 9-4, 9-4. He can play the Jace, the Nidalee. Aatrox is going to be a big factor in course. Rumble is also a big factor. He can also play Shyvana. Hmm. Maybe Shyvana's a fringe pick, but who knows? So I think Rice is a fine player. Not as otherworldly, but I think he'll be like one of those mid tier kind of top laners right now. And because of my lack of knowledge of the LCP, I think C tier is gonna be fine. Wow, Akeem, there's a lot of C tier. It's a lot of C tier players so far. What happened? It's well, top lane has not been kind. Let's be honest. It's listen. Everybody will talk about how the bot lane has not been great. But remember, I'm going like performances in the regional tournaments and my perception going into MSI. So take that with a grain of salt. Junjia is a well-known player, former LPL jungler from years ago. He also put up a solid season. And if you look at the numbers, 22-7, 22-7. He was playing Vi, Sinjao, Skarner, Wukong, Sejuani, those kind of meta pick champions, of course. Mostly Vi, because I think Vi is going to be the strongest ever player in the MSI meta with the jungle. She's going to be like the most important pick. I need to do a little prop betting, of course. Maybe tomorrow, of course, when I always do that, but just going to lose some little house copping. But for now, that's going to be the situation. Vi is going to be a major pick for MSI. 76% win rate, 5.5 KDA, decent jungle numbers, 406.2 damage per minute, almost 60% of damage. This guy can absolutely be good. And I think Junjia has been like one of the most prominent players, of course. His stats are pretty good in certain champions. He can he can play pretty well with Hung Q. And I believe that Junjia can pretty much like he can pretty much he can pretty much like work. He can pretty much cook in this tournament. I'm gonna give it a B right now for him. I give him a B. Let's just put him B tier because I believe that Junjia can actually can smoke against some of the other teams. Who knows? Also, fun facts that CTBC are the only team from the first stand to be there. So maybe it's like my LCP knowledge is not as strong, but I'm just gonna go to I don't know how well they did in like first stand, and I think they did excellent in first stand. Now Hung Q, Oh, I think I didn't see the lineup. Let me just see. I think I didn't see the substitutes for Flying Oyster. I think they have a substitute in their top lane. Let me just see. Rest is the top laner, and who they substitute? Oh, Driver. Driver is the other top laner. Okay, so Driver was the other top laner. Let me just look at his stats. Oh, he played some games. Scion, Jax, Rumble, Gragas. So he's more like a tanky kind of player. So Rest is kind of like your damage heavy kind of utility kind of player. And Driver is kind of like your tanky bruiser, beef up the front line kind of guy. So the way I see it, I pretty much put like C tier for both because both player size might dictate the whole team. So I'll just put them both and there. There you go. Much better. Now for on Q, he has done he I don't know if he done excellently, but if you look at the numbers, 22 and 7, 76% win rate. Probably it's gonna be the same win rate for like everybody because they're playing the same team. Azir, pretty much kinda in the fringe metal. Victor, not that much. Corky, not as much. Silas, Ari, Annie is in the mix. So does Galio, so does Talia. Rise is gonna be in the mix, so pretty much gonna be seeing me more Rise, more Talia. I believe the numbers for those champion priorities will be up. We don't know what Honkyu is gonna do about it, but consider how great he was in first stand. I believe the best player in the whole team was Doggo by a mile. But I think Honkyu is gonna be like my B. I think C is fine. I think C is fine. We He can do well, but I'm kind of like not strong enough to make me feel like he might do something against the other teams. Again, this is not a disrespect for him, and this is not a disrespect to the team, but lack of knowledge is not as strong. The LCP knowledge is not as strong. And I cannot believe I'm saying this, but there's rain in the forecast. It's raining right now. Okay, let's move on. Just give me a couple of minutes before I go to dog. Sorry about that. We had a lot of rain this morning, and our house is not in pristine condition to withstand that. Although it's a little bit better than like a couple of days ago or a couple of months ago. I don't know. But any subscribers will make sure this house could get built or something. I'm just not, lobbying, just saying. What am I saying, Akeem? Move on to Doggo. Best play. He, like, you got to understand that, like, 3 years ago, he was a substitute for PSG Talon. This, the other team did not get there. PSG needed a ball laner, so they bring in Doggo. And ever since, he's, like, probably a really good player. Callista, big, huge divergent in the metal. Probably like Callista is going to be a huge pick. Israel, Zaya, Misfortune, Jin, Lucian, Kaiser, those kind of champions will also be picked. We all know that ADC is going to be a really important draw. I think Psychedelic Poro just said it in his video that top 1, 2, 3 is going to be a really big priority, and then the ball lane is going to come in. If you pick a ball laner, it's going to like not gonna have matter into the top lane. So I think Doggo is going to have a key impact with the champions he is. We saw how good he was in international tournaments. We saw how good he was in the performance. He's a really good asset to this team and probably for PSG. I'm going to give him B for him. And it's not because I don't have knowledge, because I don't want this video to go that long and I want to let different players come in. So that's pretty much the reason. Kai Wing is also a pretty decent player as well. And yes, I said some decent players, but they're also great players in their regions, of course. You're mostly engaged champions. Your Alistar, Leona. He's all our one support, and then Renata Glass, Rel, Rakan, Braum, Thresh. Those really big engaged champions. Little Nada's presence, only once, but he did well against Gam Esports. That's pretty much it. And his numbers are not too high, but then again, he's a support. What are you gonna do? So he's mainly engaged support, and he's mainly going to be good. He's mainly going to be an engage What will happen if his champions being banned, of course? Although we're playing Fearless, but he can also play Renata, but Nami, Bard, not as highly priority. Maybe it'll be like the Nami Lucian kind of combo. That's probably much the complementary piece. And he has to play that. He only played once and won. So he's more of a engaged champion most of the time. And I think it might work for PSG in terms of like probably get an aggressive, you know, ball laner to play like with a bruiser side heavy to try to like go front to back and kind of thing. And I think Kai Wing's presence will be huge. Now my knowledge of course is not as strong, but I'm gonna put in like a C, maybe B tier. I'll give him a B tier. I'll give him a B tier because I think we know how solid he was in first stand, and I think he's solid in the awards in the tournament, so we'll see it out. Okay, pretty solid team as we can see. Charlie the coach is also solid as well. Guided his team, guided his team to another. Well, that doesn't count as an LCP championship, but got into like two LCP championships back to back. This CTP saying Flying Oyster is really good. I don't know much of his coaching style, but I know he can make this team look good. So I'll put him as a not as a super A tier coach. He's also a B tier coach for a pretty B tier team that I'm looking at. This is mostly a C tier in some kinds, B tier in the others. It's more like a B class team, which is pretty good and could cause some upsets in probably the bracket stage. So that'll be that's pretty much it for CTBC Flying Northstar. Not as highly skilled, but I think they're good enough to like compete. Now, onward to the next team. Oh yes, anyone's a legend. Let's do this. Oh my goodness. Now, normally I'll have to start with the players first, but your boy has to start with Tabe. What Tabe has done in his coaching career is probably the stuff of legends. Now we all know how great he was as a player, performing well for the Hall of Legend Uzi way back when in the early days of League. Way back when. But coaching wise, look what he has done to every single team. He, coaching, um, coaching HKA a couple of years ago in the Worlds. I think he got his badges. Of course, he made it to Worlds, made it to a couple of regional finals. Then, of course, lead to RNG. RNG was kind of like a fringe team back then, like a 7-8 team. Not as much. Once upon a time, did coach Kaboom, like in 2019. Pretty weird. And then make them a pretty prominent team. Dominant play was really good. Then made regionals in the 2021. Won MSI in 2022. Finished in top 8 in the 2022. Although you lost to T1 again. You knew. Top 8 losing to FAKER. It never gets old. Then 2023, coach BLG. BLG runners up in two. BLG runners up in MSI. Although they faced off against a really stacked JDG team at the time. Then 2023 Worlds lost to, of all teams, Weibo. How do you lose to Weibo, of course? Then, of course, he coached anyone's Legends. He also part-time coached with Gankme in the Legends Cup, which is one of those Chinese off-season tournaments. So he coached anyone's Legends from 2024. They were a pretty bad team. Rogue Warriors years ago, really bad team. First year coaching with anyone's Legends. An 11th place team, not so great. And then 5th and 6th. Then top dog in the Master Cup, which, let's be honest, nobody saw that coming. Then finished second in the split against TLP Sports, and then top dogs in the LPL against his former team in BLG. Although BLG has been pretty much flawed. We'll hopefully get to that. But I think, I can't believe I'm saying this, but he is going to be the only coach to receive the S tier for his pretty much body of work of, winning, MSI, but also turning so many good teams around. Like, he has been the catalyst for both BLG and RNG's pretty much good years. And consider that this is not let's. We probably could go for the team because this team is kind of average, in my opinion. They're like an average team. The fact that they actually won, they actually won like, um, the fact that they actually won LPL is amazing on his part. He's probably the reason why this team won with his draft style, his personality, and all kind of stuff. And if we go through, Flandre, once upon a time, used to be an international champion, a world champion from 2020, 2023, 2021. Sorry about that. But he has not been like the same dominant player, not even close. This C split, though, he has been okayish. Sion. If you want some tanky guys, Sion is a guy. If you want your magic top laner fighter champions, you got Gwen and York. And Rumble in some cases. Jace can do well, Orin can do well, Aurora in some cases. At best, he can swing the Abessa. Sejuani, this guy can play multiple champions. He even played Cho'Gath. Shogat. And Cassante when like Cassante is not even part of the meta. But the guy is such a flexible player to play with. You know, he's such a really, really flexible player to play with. And maybe that might help this team. So the fact that Flandre is like he was a he was a fine player in 2021, but he was never the reason why DDG wanted. It was more of the mid lane and the jungler. You know, that those were the reasons. And it was Scout and JJ, by the way, who carried the team. Weird fact that Scout is getting fined by $4 million. Weird enough. That's pretty much part of the program. But I think Flandre has been an okay player. I think he's a B tier for me. I think he's B tier. But he didn't flash me. He didn't wow me in some cases. I think I'm gonna go B tier. You know, in some cases, I think I'm gonna go B tier. Yeah, maybe a B tier player. Not as highly great, but probably is like one of the reasons why they won. Tarzan. Tarzan is the reason why they won. His Zed play was in his Zed jungler was the stuff of legends. But for a guy who has gone through so long without winning, so many teams, original Griffin player years ago, then go to so many teams, and the fact that he now won it with of all teams with anyone is just amazing. I know I said that ad lim, but the fact that he managed to do it with a team like this, it's amazing. Yes, we all. This is here's a fun fact. This is his first Zed game. That game against BLG in Game 4 for the finals is his only Zed game to date. The only Zed game in this year's split was the one that won it. And he was amazing. That shows the range of versatility of this guy. He can play so many good champions. His main ones in Afiri and Xingjiao, but you can have the Pantheon, the Poppy, the Sejuani, the Wukong, the Vi, the Skarner, the Volibear, the Lilia in some cases. This guy can be flexible and this guy can win it all. Is he A? Is he B? Is he S tier? Not even close. But the way he has performed for this team, MVP finalist, probably he was a pretty good jungler for this team, a leader, a veteranship. He can put up some clutch performances. Maybe he might play Zed. Maybe that, some people watch that Zed game and maybe feel like maybe we should ban Zed. Maybe we should ban Zed. We don't not gonna give this guy a Zed again. But if the Fury is gonna be in the meta, so does Xin Zhao, and I think these two champions are really important for him. He can elevate the players up. He can make Shanks look good. He can make Hope look good. He can make KL look good. He could be the drink that the straw that stirs the drink. Just like the same thing with Inspired, this is the same thing with Yoya, which is why I put him in A tier. And if he can get going in this tournament, I think we'll have to see. I think this might be Tarzan's best split, pretty much of all time, in my opinion. Shanks, another journeyman player. Once upon a time he was a decent player, but he was kind of like a journeyman player, like so many else. Let's just look at his performance, by the way, to show why this is important. So, if you want to know how bad it is, he was in the academy. He was playing mostly Team WWE, and then he got picked up by the Masia Cup, and then all of a sudden become champion. Like he'd been playing for Team WWE for like what 3 years, 3 years, and the teams are kind of like other than a third place finish in the regionals in 2021, the same year as EDG won it. Not as much, to be honest. Not as much. So Shanks have been like a fringe player on a not so good TWE team, and now he's been picked up by anyone's legend. And he's becoming a fine player in the mid lane. Azir, Rice, Salia, Annie. Mione's pretty much not going to be in this mix. Galio and Aurora going to be in the mix, of course. But consider that Rise is going to be huge. I don't think Rise's nerves are going to touch anything. But Rise's presence could be huge for Shanks. He is showing up with 25% damage. That's pretty much higher in most mid laners. So maybe you might have a problem with it. I don't think Shanks has ever played an international event before. I think this is his very first international event. So it's gonna be like, can he handle the nerves? Can he handle the pressure? Can he handle the high expectations? Knowing that you are now a top mid laner for a top LPL team. That's gonna be a pretty big deal. So I think Shanks is going to be like, he's a C tier player, but you gotta show me the money, man. You got to show me the money. Oh man, I think I got it wrong. I think for Shanks is that you gotta show me the money. You got to show me the money in these international tournaments. You gotta show me when the time is wrong. I think he might do it, but we'll see. We'll probably see how he will do in his first international event. I think Hope, by the way, this is also his first international event. If we look by the results on Liquipedia, yeah. Ooh, no, no, no. JDG. Yep. I think he was playing for he was playing for EDG a couple of years ago, and then pick up by JDG, the JDG Super Team, by the way. Yes, no, that was JDG before the Super Team. This was 2022 with the JDG, so before the Super Team, before the Death Star, of course. And they finished fourth in they finished third, fourth in the World Championship, losing to eventual champions T1. So Hope was like a fine player, of course. He won the LPL split a couple of years ago, being top esports. But ever since then, he was not so hard on WE. Same thing with Shanks, of course. And then pick up by Anyone's Legends, same thing with Shanks, and develop pretty well. 2024, not so kind, of course. 11th, and then improved well in 15th, 6th, and now second and now first. And if you look at Hope's numbers, pretty much going with this rise of performance in the last couple of years, you can see that drum roll, he is doing okay. 70.3% win rate. He's an okay bot laner, not the highly worthy bot laner. But Varus, Israel, Kaiser, they could be in the meta, of course. They'll be in the meta. I think Varus is going to be a high pick. I think Varus is going to be picked a lot, of course. He may show up in picking bands like more times he can ever imagine because of his pretty much high rate. Now, don't know much about champions and items, of course, but he's going to be a really, really solid pick in most of the champions and solid pick anyways. So we see Hope plays. I think Hope has been pretty good. I think my expectations are him are pretty super high. I think he might come back to his 2022 form. I'll put him as B tier. The guy has been like not as strong, but now this is his opportunity to, showcase that he could be a pretty good ball laner for a pretty good team. KL is an interesting story. Now I think KL has been like one of those, let's say, KL used to be once upon a time on a Gen G Academy team. He was a Gen G Academy team, Then was picked up by Liv Sandbox years ago. Top three team in one at a time. So was lose to eventual champions DRX in the regional. It's like, come on, guys. It's 2025 and DRX are still world champions. Like, my brain cannot even comprehend. Then he was pretty much not so great, of course, in most of the time. Not then picked up by AL. Now AL has won the whole thing. So AL has been kind of like, he was one of those. He's a prospect. He was a prospected support for the team. He was a prospected support, for LCK a couple of years, and now picked up by LPL, and now has blossomed into one of the more prominent, dominant, not saying great supports, but he's going to be like a support that you will look at for the future. Leona, Alistar, Nico, Braum, Rel, Nautilus, engage, mostly engage champions. Your most noteworthy champions is Manda, of course. Those gonna be huge, especially Braum and Leona and Alistar. Those gonna be huge meta changers. I believe in some cases that KL could struggle here. And yes, the same thing with Shanks. First international tournament in a while. First international tournament ever for him. I said the closest he ever got was 2022. Now here he is, about to play his he's probably the biggest international tournament ever. Playing for the biggest team ever, and for all of China watching this. So the pressure is going to be on him quite much. Now, do I believe that KL can perform? Yeah, I think he's so. I think his numbers and his growth over the last couple of years has showcased that, hey, KL is going to be good enough to do well internationally. But I am not sure, can he handle the pressure and can he handle the expectations as high enough. So for me, in his first international tournament, I want to see him do something. I think he's a mid-tier player, a C-tier player. Not as bad as many people think, but not as great to like elevate the whole team. So I think that this AL team is a pretty great team, but because of this is their first time, not proven international tournaments. And yes, while everybody's saying that anyone's legends are good enough, based on one seed and based on expectations because of their Chinas, they don't have like the international stigma to me. And listen, if Tabe can make this team cook, and make this drafting look good, then he eat my words. I'll eat my words in saying that they are best. But for now, I feel like anyone's legends is gonna be like they're an okay team. Now, will they win it all? Who knows? But I can see this team make it to the finals, of course. That's my opinion. That's why I have them like number 2 on my rankings, of course. If anybody watched the rankings on my YouTube channel, some of you, then you'll know what I'm talking about. 4 teams left, everybody. Oh my goodness. Well, this is easy. This is probably the easiest thing I ever done. I don't even need to do my rambling all the ranking players. All of them are D tier. Sadly, all of them are D tier. They are all of these players are officially in my D tier. I know this is harsh for me. This is kind of harsh. It's harsh for them. It is harsh for the players. The fact they actually make it is more of Riot's system of the way they treat the LPL like it's a French league and nothing. And the fact that they beat Pain, I think many people thinking, okay, Pain might do something here. If Pain went, I think they might do something this tournament. But the fact that, you know, Furia went, then that is the reason why I put them in. Yes, they have veteran players. Yes, AU is a good player, of course, but none of these players have ever now none of these players will ever hold a candle against the G2s and maybe of course BLGs and hopefully GAM Esports. I don't think they can hold a candle to do anything. I think these players are going to be like they're gonna be last. Jojo could be Jojo is promising, of course, but again, my knowledge of this region is not as strong. And unfortunately, my knowledge of this team is not as strong. So I think all of them is going to be like D tier, which is no explanation needed, no crazy colluding needed. It's pretty much the simplest thing ever. ThinkGuard is a coach, of course, former coach, used to be once upon a time with NRG when they made it to that incredible run when they beat G2. They're facing G2 first. I think he can make these players click. I think they can make these players think themselves. I think to make these players look loose and free and feel like they have nothing to lose and be fearful and all kind of stuff. So I think I'll put the coach as C team, which is going to be the only good thing about this team. The rest of them are kind of like not good enough to compete with everybody else and could be they're a 10th place team, as many people said. They might prove me wrong, but for now, it's my 10th place team. Okay, nothing much to said. Moving on. Gam, BLG, Genji, which is my next team. Okay, we are going to pick Genji. Hello. Okay, great. This is a wonderful team. And Kim is a wonderful coach. The fact that the roster managed to keep all four of their players, four of the five players in there. I think Kim is like an S tier coach. So I think Kim has been with Genji for so long. Yeah, I think Kim has been with Genji for like the longest time right now, and he has been with this. He was now he coached Damwon Kia's team in 2019. Then IG, when they won the international tournament, they won Worlds in 2018. Then left Longju Gaming in the 2017. That was the Arne Send Manor, and they got screwed over by Samsung. Finished second with Samsung Galaxy, losing to T1 in Europe. So this is a really highly respectable coach. And now he's making this Gen G team who won MSI, who finished fourth at Worlds, or to T1 again. Who knew? And now here they are, like pretty much the most established team ever. And let's be honest, Akeem, have they would have been in LCK finals, I said Gen G would have been the number one team ever. But I digress. Kim is a really good coach. Kim is an excellent coach. He's a well-established coach. He's my second S tier, second coach to be put in the S tier because of what he has done to Gen G, and I think now the way that Gen G are cooking this year, because and of course we got to start with the mid lane. I think CHOVY is now S tier. He is S tier above everybody else. You can say that Nine and Nemo could be top of them, but CHOVY is like godlike. I mean, CHOVY, this is officially the Church of CHOVY. We are now in the presence of the Church of CHOVY. This is, without a doubt, the best player in the world right now. Not even FAKER can even have these stats. 10 games on our 85% win rate. Good Lord Almighty, this kid is a demon. 10 games on Ari, 6 on Azir. He pulled out a Zoe in a crucial situation. By the way, Zoe Twisted Fate in games 4 and 5, when your team is facing elimination, when you have your backs against the wall, he managed to pull Twisted Fate and Zoe and balled out. That is gangster. That's absolute gangster. He even played right next to Mid, the madman. But in terms of meta champions, Ari is gonna be Ari, Azir, Victor, Quirky, Italia. He also plays Silence as well. He is amazing. He's probably the only reason why this team is any good right now, because Ruler have not looking kind this season. And yes, I know it's supposed to go to top and jungle and all kind of stuff, but I'm gonna go with Ruler because I think Ruler has not been great. This has not been his best split, in my opinion. This has not been the Ruler that has been really good years ago for that JDG team. This has not been a kind split for him. It has not been a kind split. And yet, and he played the Jin a couple of bit. He played Misfortunes, both really fringe champions. His laning is fine and all kinds of stuff, but when you look at the eye test and how he looks and how he plays, he just doesn't feel right. He doesn't feel right, of course. Now we can see. Now, can he perform well when it comes to international events? Of course we can do. We all know he can do. Give it love. We witnessed it firsthand how good he was in international tournaments. I think Ruler will be back at his best. I think we'll put him in C tier, not as B tier, but for now, I think I'll put him in C tier. Just it's not been his great split. And consider that the rest of the ball lane has been okay. I think he'll bounce back. Keen, I think Keen has been excellent. I think Casante Keene is pretty much dead. We may see it in some players, but Casante Keene is kind of dead, of course. And if you look at it, Gwen is probably the most played champion, 87.5%. So does Jace. Rumble, he can also play, of course. Nar, Quintante, he's undefeated, of course. Sion, in most cases. He can also play Camille and Aatrox. Aatrox is on a meta, of course. And Aurora, in most cases. Keen has been okay. Keen has been okay. Not as highly top tier, but if we look at the top tiers that are ranked, he is pretty much in the Flandre level, which he can perform so well. He can, work out his own, especially with Canyon in the jungle, of course, the synergy and all kind of stuff. So I believe Keen is gonna be a fine player for this team. I'll put him in B tier for this. Yes, I'll put him in B tier. Cannon is also a good player. Now he was also the reason why this team actually won. And if we look at his numbers, I think Canyon has been back to being like the Grand Canyon days years ago with Dan One Kia and all this kind of stuff. Zinjao, Skarner, Nafiri. Look at those numbers. These are beautiful numbers. Undefeated on Pantheon, undefeated in Vi, undefeated on Nilly when of course Nilly fell off completely late. And Lilia. Oh no, and Zed. Brother pop up the Z as well. Tarzan is not the only person who can pop up Z. He can also pop up the Z as well. And high win rates on those champions. Your Sinjon and Skarner. So he has been amazing, Kenyon. He has been amazing. Now, not Chovy amazing, but I believe he's done amazing. He's not that S tier, God tier kind of thing, but I'll put him in A tier because I think he can perform well. And we will see, of course, if he can perform well in international events because we haven't seen him do much in international events to make me feel like, well, he listen. Listen. We already saw him perform well in national events. He already won a world championship for God's sakes, and he also won MSI. So we know how he's good at in national events. But if Kenyon can actually perform well, if that jungle mid lane synergy is actually perform well, oh my goodness, Genji is gonna go places. Now the only outlier that I have is Duro, the newest player on this team. Now this is his first international event, and for him to be joining a stacked, and I mean stacked, four-man roster of Gen G, the pressure might be getting to him too much. Now he played the Nautilus, the Alistar, the Rakan, the Gage champions, the Braum, and the Rel, and the Blitzcrank in some cases. And let's just say that he has held up pretty well. Now, here is the question, of course. Gen G, and this is of course product of Rise, you know, creation of this BS thing in which we have no finals, they have never been like bled before. Now, of course, they got bled by Honey Life Esports, but what happened if they took a series loss? How would they face? How would they mentally prepare? Now we all know they can be fine. They've already won the whole thing, but I want to see how Dora can handle himself in an international stage. Now we all know Ruler has not been great, and listen, that's probably Gen G's only weakness is that bot lane because this is the reason why I put him as C tier, and this is also why I put him as C tier as well because yes, while he's decently fine, I think it's mostly like the teammates carry him and instead of the bot lane carry him as well. So when I look at this, I have a pretty strong top laner with Chovy as a god. Canyon as a dominate A tier and a B tier performer Keen, but the bot laner is kind of like left to desire, and I think that could be the reason why Gen G could not win this thing. Anything but like a winner, anything but winning MSI will be an absolute failure for them. And trust me, I know it, you know it, many of the community know it, and that's why Gen G needs to win. So we're down to two teams: BLG versus GAM Esports. Whatever they pick, I will whatever it picks, that would be the team I talk about, and then the rest I will do. We got a couple of minutes left, so let's see where we're gonna go. Well, BLG, you're gonna be BLG. It has not been kind for you. So, right now, let's talk about the coaching. So, I think Easy Hoon is gonna be the coach of this team. Now the whole coaching situation was in a chaotic flux when BLG fired their coach during the middle of their series, and the whole coaching situation is off flux. And it now, while the team made finals was an incredible achievement considering the circumstances, the coaching has been like pretty much like this. It's fine, but it's never. But the whole team was a mess when he came here. The whole team was a mess. The fact that he managed to make it to the finals is incredible enough. I'm not saying he's a D tier coach, but he's more like a C tier coach because we haven't seen him proven anything in like a big stage. And now he's gonna be in a major situation. Bejuan, this is also his first finals, of course. He could be the reason why BLG could win, and he's also gonna be the reason why every single Chinese fan will hate him. And I'm just saying that because he was thrust in a situation when, like, you know, this because the Wei situation was bad, and then the jungler was. I think Wei was a horrible jungler. If they would have been, if they made it to MSI with Wei, I put him in D tier immediately. And the fact that Beige One came here, I also mentioned by TikTok, he is not Wei. The fact that he's been a solid jungler and not into that much, that makes him a C tier. But he hasn't been but he has not elevated the reason to the fact that, oh, he has been great. He's just being a steady jungler who can handle the team really well. So that's why I put him in C tier. And the fact that he's gonna be so much pressure. The kid is gonna be so much pressure. And remember, guys, the very first game will be against GAM Esports. Now, GAM, you can say that they're not a great team, but we all know what GAM can pull up upsets. If Beijing does not do well against, of all teams, Levi, and we'll get to Levi later. I don't care if Levi is old or not. If Beijing loses to Levi, then there'll be millions of like Chinese fans on Weibo talking death threats, of course. And listen, I do not condone death threats on anybody. And if you do that, you're disgusted and you should be in down to the pits of earth. But Beijing is on immense pressure. He needs to perform well. He needs to perform well. He needs to be performed not as higher up, greater standards, but he needs to perform like decent. He needs to be decent, of course. He needs to be the reason why the team cannot be losing so much. So does Ben. Ben has not been kind. Ben is, and God rest his soul, he is in the late stage Muhammad Ali career. Like he used to be an incredible, dominant top laner. Like, whoo, bin. Just put everybody in the bin. And now it's like he is not as good as many people think. And maybe it's the decline of the team, of course, with the whole Beijing situation. It almost feels like the entire team got actually screwed up by the Wei situation. It's kind of like feel like Hui came in, the team looked performing bad, and everybody else. Bejuan came in, and the team performed okay. And I think Ben was the product of that. But the way he performed, the way he like not so hot, I think Ben is kind of like he's a C tier player for me. But I wanted to see him perform well internationally to prove me wrong. That's where my money's at. Can he perform well internationally to prove me wrong? And that's gonna be like the whole situation. Can he prove me wrong? Can can Beijing prove me wrong? I think we're gonna find out and see. Let's just see. Give me a couple of minutes. Okay, there you go. Ben, if I see it here, he has not been great, but I want to see him perform internationally. And unfortunately, the rain is coming down again and probably disturb my thing. So let's just still continue. Knight has been the only reason why this team is good. I did give him an A tier. Now he's also the reason why they actually was in the finals, of course. Him and Bejuan, of course. But I think Knight has been the only good player on this team. He's the only solid spot of this team. He's not as, but unfortunately, Chovy's like way up there. He's like the best player of all the mid laners, like a country mile. But Knight, I think, is the second best player, and I think he's the also reason why, you know, Knight. I think Knight is the only reason why BLG has been the really good team. I think Knight is the reason why they made it to the finals, for God's sakes. He's a solid player. We all know how his stats goes. We all know how he can do well internationally. He won in MSI, of course. So I want to see, can Knight do well for a team that has been struggling right now? because Elk and On has been. I think On has been fine. I think On has been good. We're gonna talk to On, of course. Let's get to On, and of course we got like 15 minutes left, so let's just see if I can quickly go through. Rel, Alistar, Nico, those are game champions. I think On has been fine. I think On has been decent. I think he's a B tier. He's gonna be a B tier support for me. I think On is going to be starter player. Elk has been not so okay. Elk has been not so okay, of course. We'll find out if he can do performally well. So I put him in C tier for now. I think he's gonna be like a fine player. I think he'll be a fine player. I think he'll do well. I think On is a good. I think Elk have a pretty meh season. So does Ben. So does Beidrong. And I think this entire BLG team is gonna be like they could be either great and win the whole thing or fell off completely and losing play-ins. That's where we are right now. Let's quickly go to couple of minutes. So let's quickly go to Gambia Sports. The last team, of course, Archie the coach. Don't know much about him. I'll put him in C tier, of course, because I think my knowledge of him is not as great. My knowledge of Levi is strong. I think it's the same amount of players. Levi is going to be a C tier player for me. We all know his veterancy. We all know how good he is. But he is pretty much in the decline stage, of course, in his career. Not as much of his hands. Kaya, of course, he's also a solid player, of course. Not as much knowledge. I'll put him in C tier for him. A lot of C tiers. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Let me just fix it up. There you go. C tier for him. Emo is I think let's go to Artemis. Let's go Artemis. Let's see how Artemis can. Let's see how Artemis cook. Okay, I think we got plenty of time. Let's just see how Artemis cook. Let's see how Artemis can cook. Paris can do well. Zaya, oh, Jesus, not great. So he's also well. So Callista, Varys, and Kaiser is the best champions. He can also do well in the pool, of course. But if these champions are pinched, he's gonna be like pretty much in the fringe, of course. So those are the three players you're gonna play with. I think Artemis is a pretty good mid lane, pretty good player. So I'm also gonna put him in C tier. He has been we all know how good he was internationally, but he has not, and I mean not performed well when it matters most. Emo is also an okay player. He's also an okay player in my opinion. I think Emo has been a fine mid laner. He's fine. He only played like a few champions, even Tristana, but I don't know if Tristana gonna be in the situation, of course. So does Aurora. He's only played Talia and Ari and Silas in some cases. That's it. So with his limited champion pool, I think it could be a struggle for him. I think he's fine, but I'll put him in D tier. And that's just kidding. I'm gonna be generous. I'll put him in C tier. I think I'll put him in C tier. And lastly for Elio, I think lastly Elio in the support. I think Elio is going to be. I think Elio is going to be one of. I think Elio is going to be fine. If you look at his numbers on the goal.gg and the way he's been playing, I think he's going to be good. Also, limited champion pool. Well, not limited champion pool. Nico in some cases. Rakan not great. Renata Glass not great. Nautilus a few games. Braum a few games. So again, a pretty good sample size, of course, in champion pool, but the performances are not great. And Leona Alistar only once. Just showcase that this the team composition, and the way they played, it's gonna make or break his style. So I believe for him, I think I'll put him in a C tier. I think I'll put him in C tier. So this is more like a C tier team, not not as bad as many people are, but not as high enough to you know do well. So there you go, Mr. Mackey. That is all the list, the color coded list of all players and coaches for this midseason invitational. All the players and coaches, of course, ranked. And now it's time for me to put it on Reddit and just absolutely get played by everybody, just like the last time. So yeah, that should do it. That should do it for the player rankings show. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. Tomorrow will be my predictions for the first two matches of the play-ins. It's gonna be cut and dry, of course, and then of course my play-ins pick'ems for this tournament. And then we're gonna be some, and then we're gonna be some a little housekeeping prop bets, of course, not gambling and all kinds of stuff, but my thinking of like how will it goes and all kinds of stuff, and see if I'm right or I'm wrong, kind of stuff. And that will also dictate about how we'll draft in and how will champion presence will go and who's stronger in the champion pool and all kinds of stuff. So that'll be really important. So Thursday is gonna be like a mixed bag of predictions and pick'ems and all kinds of stuff. So thank you all for watching and listening and all kinds of stuff. Like and subscribe and all kinds of stuff. And I'll see you all later. Bye bye.